See you half glass full or half glass empty after that one, Damien.
Look, it's 80% of our game was very good. There's always going to be 20% in the game where things don't go your way, and just Carlton capitalised big time in that. Obviously, that first 20 minutes of quarter four. The pleasing thing for us is the last 10 minutes we sort of got our game back on track. So it's a funny one because you sort of always go to that 20, if that makes sense. But 80% of it, we probably should have been further ahead and just couldn't quite get the scoreboard ticking along as well as we'd like. But look, any time you win away against a side that I think is a lot probably better than their record indicates, their contest and pressure stuff is very good. It's always good to beat Carlton.
It's also a timely reminder. I mean, obviously you guys are hoping to make finals in the next couple of weeks, but timely reminder this late in the season that obviously it's hard to be on your game for 4 quarters, but when the laps does go against you too.
Yeah, and that's something we just spoke about then. Like, it's just trying to absorb that momentum, but then feed your own. And we probably fed it a little bit too much. A couple of cough-ups, system and structure-wise, a couple of mistakes. But they're the things that you want to learn from now, so they don't cost you in bigger games later. It's not to say there weren't some uncomfortable moments in the coaching box and on the ground, but it's good for the guys to understand and feel that, but more importantly, how we respond from that. So I was really pleased with the last 10 minutes.
You sort of mentioned it. How is it more happy you could steady than the disappointment of the first 20 minutes before that? And how do you sort of balance up those?
Yeah, it's a little bit of two things. Like, I thought, once again, when a side's trying to capitalise on their momentum, they were stepping through and stepping forward, and I thought we were a little bit on our heels, weren't prepared to step through and meet them contest-wise, and they got their tail up, kicked a couple of good goals, and all of a sudden the crowd gets into it and the game and the momentum changes. So, but same sort of thing. As I said, 80% of our game is very strong. It was very dominant. We just got to make sure we continue to reward that, but then also learn some lessons from that really poor period.
How clutch was Ben's kick?
Yeah, he's kicked well. He's had his kicking the last 4 to 5 weeks has been very good. So, he works incredibly hard with his forward line coach in Brad Miller. So, it was really, really positive for him. Took some great marks tonight. I've been really pleased with his season, really. Like, he's one of those guys, people will sort of sit there and look at his total contribution from a statistical viewpoint, but he doesn't get beaten in contests, brings the ball to ground for our smalls. He's had a wonderful year.
Mark of the year?
It's pretty good, wasn't it? Yeah. I'm biased, I suppose, but I don't know. We quickly go to the one that we saw. I can't remember the other ones, but I'm sure there's been some good ones as well.
And you really got you going. He's got 3 goals in the first quarter. I mean, Carlton started quite strong as well, but
yeah,
Ben was pretty instrumental in taking the title, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was, and he looked strong in his leading, and his ability to meet the ball, and made some great kicks across the arcs as well. So it's something that we've sort of worked on throughout the year, and it's good to see the rewards of that. And Ben was on the end of some really good work up the field, but what I do like is his forward craft. Once again, he's working with Brad, and his forward crew have actually done a power of work on that. So we're really pleased with it.
It felt like the leading lanes were quite open for him at times tonight. How much of that is the restructure with Jai coming on the side and giving him more of a nimble look up there and a little bit more space potentially?
Yeah, a little bit, and sometimes it's dependent on the opposition, how they defend as well. They're a bit of an assertive defence, so sometimes you can lead through that and create space. We fell for it a couple of times where guys looked open out the back, but because they're assertive, they get back and spoil. And that's what Carlton do very well. They've got some really good defenders down there that read cues really well. And we sort of spoke to our boys at the quarter time and half time breaks just about, listen, you've got to keep presenting against this side, otherwise you fall into that trap of just bombing the ball, and it looks tempting or it looks juicy, but it's not really. So they did a great job.
How did you see the battle of the midfield, which is one of their strengths?
Yeah, it's sort of. I reckon, but early in the game, I thought they had dominance on us. Then our boys got up and going once again, and I think there was no coincidence that when they did get up and going, a couple of their guys, Cripper and all those sort of boys, got to work and got the ball going forward. Then off halfback, their runners started to get involved. Same sort of thing when you're trying to win the game. You can be a little bit more daring, and sometimes it comes off. We probably just couldn't get a goal going back the other way. So look, I thought our midfield, I thought Rao was outstanding again. Took was brilliant. Without going into other names, but I thought it was a pretty solid contribution from our lads.
I think you might have to have a little chat to Benny Ainsworth a few of those moments up forward when he probably should have, Ben Long's by himself and taking the advantage of those kind of things, or that's not something.
Oh, look, to be honest, it's normally a strength of Ben. I think he's pretty close. Him and Bailey Humphrey are nearly winning our score assist award. So, look, that's normally a strength of Ben. He'll probably see it and go, oh yeah, I didn't see it or whatever. So, he'll know. I don't need to have that conversation with him. He'll have a fair understanding of himself.
What's the excitement? I mean, we all know the history of this club. It's struggled for a long time. 2 weeks out, you're in a pretty good position. Is it a challenge to just keep leading on with the players and keep the excitement above what's possibly on the horizon in 2 weeks' time?
Yeah, we like to celebrate the wins. Once again, the game of AFL footy is incredibly tough, no matter who you're playing, sort of thing. So we'll celebrate the win, but then once again, it's been the same philosophy all year. It's next shift and be where your feet are. It's okay to drift and go there, but it's more important you come back and understand there's still work to be done. So, our guys thus far have had a pretty good season. 14 and 6, but there's some more wins to come, and that's what we're looking forward to.
So there is room to Adam just to sort of think about one-on-one.
Well, the game of AFL footy's hard. You've got to celebrate, sort of thing. We'll celebrate the win, but as I said, as soon as tomorrow comes, we move forward, next shift mentality. So, but also you want to get them to actually, they've worked hard to get a win. So.
You've had a pretty good record at Marvel Stadium this year. You're starting to enjoy it.
It's awesome. I'm not. Don't ask me that question.
Any injuries?
No, we're pretty good, which is nice. So hopefully, Sam Flanders will be week to week, I'd say, and Daniel Rioli's not too far away either. So yeah, which is good.
Noah Anderson was pretty well held in the first half, but right up the sleeves.
Yeah, he did. Lord, he's a good player actually. He does some good roles, and Noz is very, very good at actually understanding what he needs to do at the right time, and he probably went to work a little bit in court, probably a little bit too much on the move at the start, but then he got his game up and going. And what I will say about Noah, he's very, very selfless in the way he plays. Like, he goes and does another role that will open up someone else, and he's had a very, very good year. But what I will say, he's an outstanding captain. We're very, very fortunate to have him, and the way he leads his club is second to none.